For one J6 defendant, his ordeal is finally over, but for his family, it is not. On February 25th, Matthew Perna took his life. In his widely read obituary, his aunt, Geri Perna, wrote that Matthew died of a broken heart. She joins us now. Geri, I am so deeply sorry for your loss. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about Matt and what he did on January 6th?
Matt went to the Stop the Steal rally with the expectation of celebrating at this event because he thought Mike Pence was not going to certify the election and it was going to be a day of celebration to welcome President Trump back in for another term, basically. He had no intention of being part of a protest, silent or otherwise, no intention whatsoever. But as the crowd got closer to the Capitol, he was inside this crowd of people, and the way he explained it was elbow to elbow. You could not move. And he was there with a friend that walked through with him, and they came to an open door that had previously been breached. He had his cell phone in his hand. He recorded as he went in, and the timestamp when he was outside of the Capitol was 2:52, and Congress had adjourned and evacuated at 2:15. There were Capitol police officers standing there, allowing people in, waving them in, and Matt went in with his cell phone and did a Facebook Live. He stayed within the velvet ropes in the rotunda. He didn't touch anything. He didn't break anything. He didn't steal anything. He didn't go inside any of the offices. And with the police standing there, who would think you were going to get in trouble if the police were saying nothing but come on in? So when he left there that day, he had no idea what was about to take place. As many of the January 6th, they were clueless.
How did things unfold for Matt?
It was a few days later, and somebody on Facebook said that they had photographs of the January 6 people that went into the Capitol on the FBI site. And I went to the site and I scrolled down, and lo and behold, Matt's picture was there, and my heart just sunk. Immediate panic took over. So by 9 o'clock, Matt had already called the FBI to tell them that that was him. So the FBI came to my brother's home, where they questioned Matt, and Matt told them everything. And so they took his statement, and it was about at that point I said, we need to get a lawyer. I don't have a good feeling about this. So we retained a lawyer, and then lo and behold, the FBI called a few days later, and they wanted to ask some more questions. But in fact, it was not about asking questions. They just came to arrest him. So they arrested him, and they processed him in 3 hours, and he was released.
Okay, what happened next?
Well, when they processed him, it was just with the misdemeanors. And his attorney, who had 42 years of criminal justice experience, he kept saying, this is no big deal. These are misdemeanors. You're not going to get any jail time. You're probably going to get a fine, a slap on the wrist, maybe some community service. Don't worry about it, he said. I've got this. That was his famous line every time. Don't worry, I've got this. And let me tell you about Matt's attorney. He was a Democrat. Matt did not look at people and base opinions on their political affiliation or the color of their skin or their economic situation. He felt that this man was qualified and he would represent him. It was a few weeks later that the Justice Department put the charge of obstruction of Congress on 270 of the protesters who had just previously been arrested for misdemeanors. So they all now had a felony charge to deal with. And that's when the nightmare really began. Because now they were talking about jail time, and the local newspaper in his area, the Sharon Herald, continually put articles in there with the same picture of him at the Capitol. The Facebook pages that the FBI had up. That was crushing for Matt. He just sunk deeper and deeper into depression. And he was suicidal for the better part of the year. And there was just nothing we could say, because as time went on, he saw the other cases and how they were playing out, and it was not looking good.
Matt pled guilty. Why?
He pled guilty because the attorney told him to plead guilty. He said, if you want this to be over as soon as possible, I advise you to plead guilty. You are not strong enough to stand trial. There was no plea bargain offered. They didn't drop anything. He pled guilty to them. And he was hoping to get a lighter sentence because he is the caregiver for his dad. They scheduled the hearing for him to be sentenced on the anniversary of his mother's death 7 years before. I don't think that was a coincidence. They know these things, okay? They're playing head games with these people from January 6th. And so that kind of made him feel a little uneasy about it. And Monday before that Friday, he called his attorney and he said, I'm having a very uneasy feeling about this sentencing hearing on Monday. And that's when the attorney says, well, they're postponing it because they're looking to add additional enhancements to sway the judge into giving him more time, from 6 to 12 months all the way up to 72 months in jail. Matt at that point he called me on the phone, and he was just so distraught. He was just sobbing on the phone. And he developed a stutter at that point. He was such an articulate speaker. And at this point, he was stuttering. And not just because he was upset. He actually texted somebody and said, I have developed a stutter. I don't understand what's happening to me. He started throwing up blood that week as well. So we're sure he had an ulcer. And that Friday night, he hung himself in his garage. I could not believe what had happened. And I called his attorney at home. And I said, you kept saying, you've got this, you've got this. I said, you didn't have anything. You never had anything. And he said, don't you blame me for this. The next morning, he calls my brother, Matt's dad. He says, hey, what's going on? I thought we had an appointment here at 10:30 with Matt. Are the rumors I'm hearing true? Yeah, I can see the surprise. It was unbelievable. It is the biggest blow to our family ever. We're a very close family, very close, large family, large Italian family. And we are never going to recover from this. We've not received even a sympathy card from anybody in the Justice Department. I blame them. I blame the media, Facebook, for the hate speech and the way people made him feel. And if that weren't bad enough, we received hate mail since he died.
Geri, it's an unbelievable story.
We've had several people reach out to us. I did get connected with Cynthia Hughes from the Patriot Freedom Project, and they are doing a fellowship for Matt for a law student.
So we have to wrap up now, but very quickly, what are your plans?
We are seeking justice for Matt. I want Matt pardoned in the end. I want all these charges taken off his name. I want the people responsible for causing him so much agony to have to take responsibility for it. He is never coming back. My brother is heartbroken, as well as our family. We can never get Matt back, but I will make sure that, to the best of my ability, no one else takes their own life because of this persecution from our Justice Department.
Geri Perna, thank you so much for joining us today, and take care and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Be sure to watch the entire episode, available on EpochTV.com, a new completely censorship-free premium subscription platform. Brought to you by the Epoch Times. See you there.